Hello everybody, I'm Miss Leah from the Kent Free Library Youth Services Department, and this is Booked for the Week, Time Warp Edition. With everything that has happened in the past year, it's easy to feel like you're living in a time warp. With people starting to trickle back in the library, they definitely don't look the same as when they left. Kids are a year older, a grade further, and probably reading at a completely different level. So to help you navigate this time warp, I decided to talk about 3 different books that were published last year in 2020 when we were all living pretty much completely different lives. Here we go. Our first book we're going to talk about is We Are Water Protectors. This is written by Carol Lindstrom and illustrated by Michaela Goad. She actually won the Caldecott Award for this book, which is an award given by the American Library Association every year for the best illustrations in a children's book for the year. And this is the winner. It's also very well written. It has a very nice flow of poetry throughout the book, which goes very nicely with the beautiful illustrations. Carol Lindstrom and Michaela Goad are both Native Americans. Actually, Michaela is the first Native American to win the Caldecott, and they wrote this book as an ode and a call to arms, really, an ode to the Standing Rock Sioux tribe who stood up to the Dakota Access Pipeline. So it tells about a black snake that's going to damage the land. They illustrate the black snake or the pipeline like this, very, very beautifully done, even though it's a hazard to the land. And they talk about the Sioux tribe fighting and how really all people need to fight and stand up for our resources, because the protection of water affects everybody. And this is the final page where they illustrated the protests. It's a beautiful book to look at, a beautiful story to read as well, and something that everybody should be thinking about as we manage our resources on the earth. So this is our picture book choice for 2020. Our nonfiction choice, and probably my favorite of the 3 we're talking about, is All 13. This book was a roller coaster ride, and I'm not joking. I read it in about a day, and it is about the story of the cave rescue of the 13 boys, 12 boys and their soccer coach, rescued from the cave in Thailand. It goes from introducing the boys and their soccer team and talking about how their soccer team is pretty much their life. They hang out with the boys on the soccer team all the time. They're best friends. It talks about Thai culture, about all of the thousands of people that came in once the boys were trapped in the cave to help get them out from America, from Australia, from the UK. People you wouldn't even think of that could help them. There are professional bird's nest finders that come in to try and help them navigate the mountain on the outside. There are UK cave, they call them sumpers, cave divers who come in to help carry the boys out. There's a doctor, they fly in from Australia to sedate the boys because they can't be awake during their extraction, and because if they panic while they're being taken out, it could kill the scuba diver taking them and the boy. So it's I know we already know the end of the story. All the boys make it out safely, which I knew when I read it, and it was still a roller coaster ride. I highly recommend this book. I could not put it down. And there's so many interesting things I learned about the caves there in Thailand too, and the Thai culture, which is pretty cool. And in all seriousness, the boys sound like very, very decent human beings, and they're grateful, and some of them even want to become Navy SEALs now, like the people who saved them. So I highly recommend All 13 for your nonfiction read. And lastly, our novel from 2020 that I'm going to recommend is We Dream of Space by Erin and Trada Kelly. She also won the Newbery for Hello Universe, and actually this book was a Newbery honor for 2021, as was All 13. So that tells you right there these are really good reads. All right, this is the story. This takes us back to 1986, in the months before and leading up to the Challenger launch and sadly the explosion. And it tracks 3 siblings, Bird, Fitch, and Cash, and they are kind of living in the same space but in their own worlds. They talk about how their planets just moving around each other in the book. And if you're a fan of hearing from different characters in the book, different perspectives, this is a book for you. Each chapter changes from one sibling to the next, and you learn about what they like, what they do, their family, what their family home life is like. And then Bird becomes, you learn throughout the book, you kind of follow her, and she becomes very entangled in the Challenger excursion and the astronauts. She becomes very attached to them as she feels kind of left out of her family and left out of her school life. And when the Challenger explosion actually happens, she takes it really hard. And the funny thing is that explosion brings their family together. It actually pulls everybody back in. So it was a really quick read. It was really cool to learn about the Challenger. There was an astronaut from Ohio on there, which I didn't know. And if you grew up or know anything about the 80s, there's some cool 80s references in it as well. All right, so thank you for watching Book for the Week, Time Warp Edition. I hope this helps you catch up on your 2020 reads you might have missed, and we'll see you next time.